3 teachings in one, and I'm going to start with the spirit of pride, arrogance, and offense. Then we'll go on down to the promotion and the demotion, and then we'll go on down to integrity and standing firm in your faith. I want you guys to turn your Bibles to the book of Esther. Esther. So I said I was going to talk about pride, arrogance, and offense. And what we're going to learn, according to the book of Esther, is that if you walk in these things too long, you'll see where that gets you. First, starting with Queen Vashti, and then we'll go on over to Haman, who was promoted by King Ahasuerus and seated above all the princes that were with him. Now, how many of you know, as cliche as it sounds, that pride comes before destruction? How many of you know that as quickly as one becomes promoted, if you don't check your heart and your attitude, you can become demoted. You can swiftly become demoted. Okay, that's why when God gets ready to position you and promote you, he has to look at your heart posture. Which is why many of us find ourselves in a character stages of developing character integrity, great heart postures, and purification. I said this is why many of us find ourselves in the character stages of developing character, integrity, great heart postures, and purification. You can't even worship the Lord properly and tap into the fullness of his presence without a good heart posture. I know that sometimes you guys have found yourself checking your heart and looking at your heart before at one time in your life, if you are a worshiper, and happen to examine your heart, get off whatever you held on throughout that day, get it off of you so that you can fully tap into worship, whether it been anger that you were holding or worry from what happened earlier throughout the day, right? All that stuff has to fall off of you for you to tap into the presence of God fully during your time of worshiping. So, in a book of Isaiah 29:13, this is an example. He says, "These people honor me with their lips, while their hearts are far from me." Okay, another example of why you can't tap into this presence of the Lord even when worshiping him to the full capacity if your heart posture isn't right is Ezekiel 33 verse 31. He says that they sit before you as my people, they hear what you say, but they will not do it. He said their hearts were set on their own gain, with lustful talk in their mouths, right? Matthew 15 verse 8, Jesus says, "These people honor me with their mouth, but their heart is far from me." So you got to have the right heart posture, not just for promotion, but also to maintain good status, also to maintain healthy relationships, even in ministry, right? Be it serving the Lord or serving in your community, your attitude, your heart posture, in general, it has to be right. Okay, you don't want to get in a high position, promoted to a high position, and find yourself like Vashti or Haman. Makandaba. Turn your Bibles to the book of Esther, and I want you guys to, let's start off with chapter 1. Okay, so in the book of Esther, it says the king was merry, right? He was merry in his heart from wine, right? And he called his queen, his wife, down, right? I'm just going to go down to the verse so I can properly say this for you guys, okay? So, Esther chapter 1, verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagad, Zithar, and Carcas, the 7 chamberlains, that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Okay? Verse 13 says, Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew the law and judgment. Okay? He was wroth because Vashti knew the law and she knew the judgment. Okay? She knew the law and she knew the judgment, and the king was upset. Right? Going down to verse 14 here, it says that 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom, they said, What shall we do unto Queen Vashti according to the law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. So here goes this offense. He says, Vashti, the queen, have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. So because of this act that Vashti did, they felt that her action will cause other women to despise their husband. And it says that wives, all of the wives, shall give their husbands honor, both great and small. And so they took action, and all agreed that Vashti be removed. Okay? So the queen thought about this, and he sent for a second time for Queen Vashti to come down, but Queen Vashti refused to go down. So this made him even more upset. Okay? So they ordered that Vashti would come no more before the king, all right, and let the king give her royal estate to another woman that is better than she. Okay? So because Vashti did not obey the king's commandments, she knew the law, she knew the commandments, and she did not obey it, she was demoted, and her royal estate was given over to someone that was better than her. Okay? Her pride got her demoted. Now we're going to go on over to Haman. This is Esther chapter 3. Okay? So in the book of Esther, there were two men who planned to kill the king. And Queen Esther reported it to the king, right? In honor of Mordecai's, just letting the king know, hey, Mordecai informed me of this. These 2 men were planning to kill you, to lay hands on you and kill you. And the king had those men both killed and hung on a tree, right? As it was written in the book of Chronicles. Okay? Now after that, the king Ahasuerus promoted Haman, right? And he advanced him and he seated him above all the princes that were with him. Now Haman, it was ordered that all the king's servants that were in the king's gate would bow down and reverence Haman. Okay? For the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai did not bow to him, and he did not reverence him. When the king's servants asked Mordecai why did he transgress and not follow the king's commandment, Mordecai informed them that he was a Jew. Okay? But these people spoke daily to Mordecai, and he hearkened not. He did not listen to them, right? He stuck to his beliefs and faithfulness unto God. But when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow, he was enraged. Okay? He was full of wrath. And he didn't want to just kill Mordecai alone. He wanted to kill Mordecai and Mordecai's family and all of the Jews. So because of one man's offense, he sought to destroy this man's whole family along with all the other Jews. Okay? But how many of you know this pride comes before destruction? Okay, as it is written, the mischief of the wicked must return to their own heads, especially when it comes to God's children. So Haman went to the king, Esther's husband, and he told him, hey, there are certain people scattered abroad, dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people. Neither do they keep the king's laws, right? He said diverse. That means they're different from the people there. Okay? You guys, we are different, right? You're different. And we don't keep the laws of man.